We're introing with 2 videos, infection control.
Meet Sam. He's super friendly, and his shop patrons like him. The trouble is that Sam often runs overtime, and neglects to wash his hands and clean and disinfect his tools before servicing his next client. Let's put on our Bactham goggles, outfitted with lenses that allow us to see microorganisms, such as bacteria, viruses, and fungi, and see what happens. After just 1 hour of work, Sam's hands are swarming with
Wow. I touched something.
Meet Sam. He's super friendly, and his shop patrons like him. The trouble is that Sam often runs overtime, and neglects to wash his hands and clean and disinfect his tools before servicing his next client. Let's put on our Bactham goggles, outfitted with lenses that allow us to see microorganisms, such as bacteria, viruses, and fungi, and see what happens. After just 1 hour of work, Sam's hands are swarming with pathogens. In that hour, Sam has touched his cape, his hair, the client's towel, the shampoo bowl, most of his tools, from his shears to the cord on his trimmer, including the hand mirror he presents his client. These pathogens living happily on the mirror's grip could be staphylococci, bacteria that cause abscesses and pustules. Their busy neighbor might well be a flu virus or one that causes a gastrointestinal infection. Not only can Sam endanger his and his client's health with his neglect, his license and his shop's license are placed at risk. Sam cannot afford to skip steps when it comes to infection control. It is his professional and legal responsibility to follow state and federal laws and rules. OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, is the chief federal agency that regulates and enforces health and safety standards in the workplace. It tells us that proper infection control requires 2 steps: cleaning and disinfecting. The term cleaning refers to the mechanical process of using soap and water to remove dirt and germs. The term disinfecting refers to the chemical process used to destroy harmful organisms on tools and surfaces. By far, the most important thing you can do to stop the spread of infection is hand washing. Every state requires that you follow its 10 steps before beginning any service. The central steps to proper hand washing are working up a lather, scrubbing for at least 20 seconds, and using a nail brush. In total, you should be washing your hands for at least 60 seconds. Then, rinse and dry your hands, using your towel to turn off the faucet and open the door. Cleaning and disinfecting your tools, both electric and non-electrical, are also multi-step processes. One vital step is to check the label of your disinfectant. It must have an EPA registration number, the words bactericidal, virucidal, and fungicidal, a list of pathogens it destroys, mixing and changing instructions. Sam now understands how vital it is to understand and follow the laws and rules of his state. After all, his professional reputation, his license, and his client's safety depend on it.
All right, that was our first video of the evening, just intro to infection control. Guys, we're going to talk about the regulatory agencies, We're even going to go to the Tennessee State Board website and look at the state law, okay? Because the Tennessee State Board of Cosmetology is our regulatory government, okay? So they govern all things cosmetology. And so we're just going to take a little tour on that website tonight. All right, so hold tight. We have one more video and then we'll jump into our tour. And this is, of course, is an easy one. It's proper hand washing, but the Tennessee state law states that before we service any client, any patron, we must wash our hands. And so you'll be amazed at how many people do not wash their hands. So this is a part of the curriculum. No matter how old you think someone is, we still have to reinforce, wash your hands. So let's watch this video here.
Infection control, proper hand washing. It happens every year. The days get longer, the temperature warms up, and my clients start coming in with sniffles. I can see the pollen in the air, and it's almost like I can see the germs too. Is it allergies? Is it spring cold? You can't be too careful. Everything was nice and clean until she walked in. She can come on back now.
Great, no line.
Hi, I'm Carol. How are you today?
Hi, I'm Angela. I'm okay. I guess I have some allergies or something going on. But I need to feel better and look good. I have a work trip coming up.
Or something. Going to pass on the handshake this time. Nice to meet you, Angela. Maybe you're just allergic to spring.
I know, right? I'm sorry if I sneeze. I took some medicine and it just needs some time to kick in.
I always have tissues on standby to cover your nose and mouth if you sneeze, and you can throw them away here when you're finished. Did you know that a cough travels 50 miles an hour and contains up to 3,000 droplets of saliva?
Seriously? That many?
Yeah, and sneezes are even worse, 100 miles an hour and 40,000 droplets. And they can create a gas cloud that travels 26 feet.
No, that's just gross.
Tell me about it. Now, let me get you ready for this trip.
Great.
And there we are. How do you like your nails?
I love them. They look awesome. That was a close one.
Don't mess them up. All right, how about I go wash up and I'll meet you at the front to talk about rebooking?
Sounds good.
And that almost sneeze reminds me why it's so important to follow proper hand washing procedures and stop any germs from traveling. Always follow these procedures. First, turn the water on and wet your hands. Second, pump soap from a pump container onto the palm of your hand. Third, rub your hands together vigorously until a lather forms and continue for at least 20 seconds. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O. You get the idea. I won't torture you with my singing. Fourth, rinse your hands in warm running water. Fifth, use a clean cloth or paper towel for drying your hands. Sixth, after drying, turn off water with the towel and then dispose of it. So, are we all set? Almost, but you need to check one more thing. I noticed some debris under my fingernails, and regular hand washing doesn't get that. If any product or debris is visible under your nails, you need to follow these additional procedures to make sure your hands are completely clean. First, choose a clean and disinfected nail brush. Second, wet the nail brush and pump soap on the bristles. Third, brush your nails horizontally back and forth under the free edges. Fourth, change the direction of the brush to vertical and move the brush up and down along the nail folds of the fingernails. Fifth, rinse the nail brush and deposit it in a labeled container for dirty implements. Sixth, rinse hands in warm running water. Seventh, use a clean cloth or paper towel to dry hands. Finally, after drying, turn off water with the towel and dispose of it. Well, there you have it, the basics of proper hand washing. Now you're ready to keep those germs at bay. But if you need any more information, please check out local, state, and federal regulations.
All right. All right. So those two videos intro just pretty much what we're going to be discussing tonight. And I'm getting ready to have, let's take a tour of our Tennessee State Board of Cosmetology. And we're going to go over to the state laws. These parameters will be sent over to you tonight as well. So just hold on. Okay, I wanted to show you from the beginning, guys. I went over and just to Bing or Google, and it says Tennessee Board of Cosmetology and Barber Examiners, okay? You'll see this come up, rules and laws, licensee, applicant resources, cosmetology, and barber. Let's click rules and laws. All right, so rules and laws are here. Here's the difference between rules and laws, how that pertains to Tennessee and beauty professionals. So we have a regulatory board. You can go to tennessee.gov and it'll tell you to choose what regulatory board. There's a board for real estate agents. There's a board for cosmetology, barbers, estheticians, manicures. There's a board for security guards. There's a board for whatever. You know, if you hold a license with Tennessee, there's a board. There's a regulatory agency that oversees that license, okay? You choose cosmetology and it brings you here to the Tennessee State Board of Cosmetology. I'm not just talking just to be talking, guys. I want you to take some notes because you're going to see this on your exam. When you get ready to test, no matter what exam you're testing from, Tennessee will have 10 law questions on that exam. 10 law questions, okay? They give you an idea of what the questions are going to look like. So a lot of things, what I'm saying, you're going to see them again. Monday, I go to Nashville for the training to learn about the updates for PSI or if they redid everything. Soon as I get back, I give my educators, we're going to assess all the updates. It's going to be in your hands. We like to start early preparing you for that state board exam, okay? So for right now, let's look in general. We have rules and laws, okay? Rules and laws. The rules are set by the state board. The laws are set by your politicians. So, you know, when it's time to vote, you know, I'm not one to be, you know, stickler on who to vote for, but when it's time to vote, you guys have a say because whoever you vote in get the rule about what you do for a life, for a lifestyle, you know, like what you do for a career that enhances your lifestyle or not. And so take for is, you know, the eyelash course. Let's take that for example. It's only about a year and a half old. Okay, only about a year and a half old. It took the politicians, your representative, to propose that we needed an eyelash specialist course separate from cosmetology and separate from aesthetics. When the politicians took that to the House, they voted on it. They put it on the floor. It passed. Once the law passed that yes, estheticians and that yes, lash specialists can operate without having an esthetician license or a cosmetology license, then it went to state board for state board to set the rules. All right. And the rules are who's eligible to get the license? What are When is the renewal? How many hours do they have to have? What's the penalty if they break the rules? That's what the rules are. That's what state board do. They can't change the law, but they have to implement the rules. And so we have rules and laws, okay? So let's look here on the rules and laws, all right? You go to laws, you have cosmetology, barber. This is like really, General Assembly, all that stuff, whole lot of wording. But you would click this site here, it says LexisNexis, and then you will follow the prompts to cosmetology. Okay, let's go to cosmetology rules. Okay, 2 sets of the rules. One is for licensing, one is for sanitation, sanitary cleanliness. That's what we are on this week. License requirements, sanitary rules. Let's click sanitary rules and see what some of the requirements are. Okay. How many pages we got? We got 10 pages of rules, all right? That you basically, not saying you need to memorize them, but you need to go through them and be like, this is something that I'm gonna see every week in your training class. Okay, let's see what I got. All right. So let's look at a few of the rules that Tennessee State Board is going to look at. This is responsibility for compliance. Let's talk state law for a minute tonight, guys. Every business or establishment is going to have a manager. All right, let's talk managers. Yeah, so every establishment is going to have a manager. But here's a note I always have people say: when you guys being fresh out of school, you're sometimes targeted, and many beauty, owners will probably say, "Hey, why don't you come and be a manager? I give you this, I give you that, give you that." But you really have to really, count the cost, because now as the manager, you are partially responsible, just like the owner, of any fraudulent activities, anything going on that could be a hit against your license. And the state does take notice. The state does take notice of those things. So they're always in our business some kind of way. So you have to be very mindful of that. So if you're going to be a manager, that's fine. But managers do take responsibility for what's going on. If you are a manager, the Tennessee State Board of Cosmetology says if an inspector comes in, you have 30 minutes to get to that facility. 30 minutes to get to that facility. All right. The manager is ultimately responsible to make sure everybody in the facility is licensed. Which means you got to do some cross-checking. You got to check some licenses and things of that nature. You got to make sure it's clean. Okay, you got to make sure no other activity other than what's supposed to be going on is going on. It says the manager of an establishment shall be responsible for maintaining all parts thereof in a sanitary condition at all times, and for otherwise ensuring that the establishment is operated in compliance with this chapter. However, this rule shall not relieve any licensees of responsibility for the sanitary condition of any space or equipment used in an establishment. What does that say? The manager is responsible for making sure the salon or spa is clean. It also states it does not take the responsibility of the actual licensed individual who's working in there. So if something is not where it's supposed to be, guess who gets the fine? The salon owner. Guess who gets fine and accountability? Everybody's going to be in trouble. The salon owner, the manager, and the person who is working there. So everybody has a responsibility. They used to just pass it on to the salon owner, okay? But no, now we sharing everything, okay? Says the manager is entitled to 2 30-minute periods in which he or she may be away from the building. So pretty much, if you're a manager and you know your shop is open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., you get 2 30-minute breaks where you can leave the shop. So what's probably going to happen, you're probably going to have somebody for a day manager and have somebody for a night manager, okay? Because this is new to State Board. As you can see here, January of 2024 is when we brought that on. And so it's fairly new. I don't anticipate it being changed, all right? And so when you're coming in as a manager, it's more requirement of your time and more oversight. And the number one thing is making sure that the place is sanitary. That's why we're going through sanitation infection control chapter to ensure that everything is going to be where it's supposed to be when it's supposed to be. Here's another thing about the manager. The manager's name must be posted and the license number must be available to any employee or customer of the shop. So in the office or out front, however you want to do it, you need to make sure that you have your name, your picture, and your license number. All right. Why do you think they want all that out there? Because you're going to be held responsible for most of it. So make sure if your name is on it, if you own it, or if you're the manager, if your name is on it, that everything is going well, how it's supposed to go inside of that business. Okay. Okay, so that's one aspect of the state law, and the manager of each establishment. The number one thing is making sure you oversee that the place is clean. Okay, what do you mean? What could be some of the duties? Making sure that the trash is clean, trash is taken out, making sure that bags are in, making sure barbicide jars are clean, making sure towels are clean, and making sure also towels are in a dirty towel, bin as well. Making sure stations are adequately clean, floors swept, things of that nature. All of those are major components of being a manager of the salon, on top of making sure everybody who's in there is licensed. Okay. We have to make sure that we have a copy of these rules and licenses posted in the salon or school. We have them on the computer. You can just pull them up. But if you're going to open up a salon or spa, you need to make sure that they're accessible. Okay. And I know on the state board, it says, where do they put their license? Your license, and I'm going to just tell you for Tennessee, Do not put your license at your front door, because Tennessee has a big thing. I'm gonna say Memphis has a big thing about with snatch and grab when it comes to licenses. Okay, so number one, you put your license on the wall. As a person leaving, they can snatch it off the wall, go sell it. Okay, and somebody be working on your license. Number two, when you're gonna leave a facility, especially if you're booth renting or something like that, you leave a facility and you say, I don't need that stuff. I've seen this plenty of time where people leave their licenses behind. Do not leave your licenses behind. Okay. Do not leave them behind, because then they can go back up on the wall. Somebody else, your name Terry, and on the wall your name Terry, but then you come, somebody's working, their name is Kim, and Kim telling State Board that her name Terry, and whatever write-up she's getting is going towards your license. So I always tell people, take your license off the wall. Make sure you have it in your hand at all times. Okay. And so that was just a little bit. So where do we put the license? It needs to be where people can see them. Where open display of your license. It needs to be an open display of your license, but I would not put them at the door where people could grab them. Okay. That's still a big thing. Inspections. Inspections are usually done once a year. It's an annual thing, once a year. Here's your facilities, especially I got some nail ladies on. It says cosmetology, manicure, aesthetics, natural hairstyling may be practiced only in rooms which are adequately lighted and ventilated. So if you're gonna go and get suites and things of this nature, you got to make sure two things. One, they have adequate light and ventilation. All right, light and ventilation. For the ones that don't have ventilation or windows, you need to purchase something that circulates clean air. Okay, that circulates clean air. And that's going to really be, good for everybody as well. It says tanning beds, massage therapy, and tattoo shops cannot be located in cosmetology, skincare, manicuring, or manicure skincare shops unless it's in a separate room with hard walls. It does not say you can't have them in there. It just said it needs to have a separate room with hard walls. All right. So you can have a cosmetology / tanning bed shop, cosmetology / massage therapy. You can even have a tattoo shop inside of your business, but it has to be separated by a hard wall. Okay. Next, when you look at the rules, it does give you a list of equipment to open whatever shop you want to open. You go to the chat? Is it somebody that their goal is, okay, when I finish, I'm gonna open up my own shop? Is there a go to the chat? If so, tell me what shop it is.
Can you reword that? I'm sorry.
Is it anyone that is anticipating opening up a shop after school, after you finish? And if so, what kind of shop? Is it a nail shop, a natural hair shop, or a braided? What kind of shop is it? Is that a goal of someone's? Are you guys in the chat? Okay, Danica says nail salon. Okay, that's exactly what I wanted to know. So Tennessee state law. This is the rules. We have Tennessee law and Tennessee rules. Tonight we're going over the rules. With the rules, it says rule 0440-02-07 equipment. Okay. Every cosmetology shop may be equipped with at least blank. Every skincare shop. So when you're talking about what do I need to open up my shop, You just go to the state board website and pull up the rules. It tells you everything you're gonna need. So if you're gonna do a nail shop, it says every manicure shop shall be equipped with at least one manicure table with stool or chair per manicurist, one patron chair, one chair for your client, one wet disinfectant, one ultraviolet sanitizer. That's for your implements to keep them clean and sanitized. One enclosed and labeled storage area for clean towels. One covered and labeled container for soil towels. So you gotta have something that says clean towels, something that says soil towels. Then one covered and labeled trash container maintained in a sanitary condition. So you gotta have a trash container that's clean. One sink which provides hot and cold running water in the work area, excluding the bathroom. So you gotta have the bathroom, but then you need to have a sink outside of the bathroom. Okay, one finger bowl per table. One finger bowl per table. One covered container per table for cotton balls. You gotta have something to put your cotton balls and cotton swabs in. You need to have a foot bath if pedicures are offered. So if you're gonna do pedicures, you gotta have a foot bath. That does not mean you need to have the big chair that plugs up, okay? There are so many alternative ways that you can do pedicures, but you gotta have something that represents that they can put in there, put the feet in. One first aid kit, one working restroom, and a sign posted stating that customers have the right not to have the drill. So basically the sign is going to say all customers have the right to refuse the drill. That's all you need to open up. That's all you need. You can literally take number 3, all of this, and go to Amazon and build you a cart. And that cart is going to be everything you need for your nail salon. No matter what type of shop you want to open up, they have the list for every shop. So natural hair, skin, nails, cosmetology, barbering, they have the list for every last one of them, so on and so on. So I don't want anybody to say, I don't know what I'm supposed to have. You know, we just go to the state board website, and reading is fundamental. I tell people that all the time. I do some coaching, and I said the information is free. People really pay me to apply the stuff they don't want to apply. And so I don't want you to go out there and hire somebody to just give you information that's free. All right. I want you, if you're going to hire somebody, put that in marketing somewhere, but free information tells you how to do it. You just have that stuff there, and they're going to come and open up your shop. All right. It says every shop shall contain sufficient equipment to enable it to perform all services. When it talks about sufficient equipment, you can't have a suite and then have 10 people work in that suite. The place not big enough. A suite may hold 2-3 people max. Okay, so you got to have equipment for 2-3 people max. All the equipment must be in working order. Okay, and everything must be labeled. Everything must be in working order and labeled. Do you guys think that we can go to homes, businesses, and do nails and do hair and do lashes? What do you think they allow us to do that? Yes or no? You can go to the chat. Okay, Veronica said beauty bar. Yes, yes, yes. And Veronica, beauty bar, you're talking about everything, servicing, doing a little bit of everything, or just like lashes, brows, makeup. Okay, you guys said no. Guess what? Once you're licensed, you got rank. Residential shops. So you can have a shop in your house. Let's start there. You can have a shop in your house, but it cannot be the same entrance that people who are just coming to visit you go through. The shop has to have a different entrance. Okay. So for example, you got a garage that you want to make into a shop. Fine. But the people that come visit you for services, that visit the business, they got to go through the door in the garage. They can't go through your home. They can never walk through your home to get to the shop. So you're going to have to build a door in that garage. All right. And so that's the first thing with residential shops. Number two, you got to have a separate restroom. They cannot go through your house to get to the restroom. Y'all, that's the only thing that separates, that's going to separate the home from the business. So you can, if you feel more comfortable at home, fine. Build a shop there, but you got to have those two things, okay? Got to have those two things. So I also stated, can we go to other places and do hair, skin, nails, things of that nature? We can. If we have a license, we can go to funeral homes, we can go to somebody's business and do them up. That license carries us. It doesn't sit us still in one place. At license, as long as we carry that license throughout the state of Tennessee, we can work. Okay. And we can work at, if someone says, come touch me up before church, you can go to that church and touch them up. You can go work at funeral homes. Someone says, well, I got a corporate meeting, but I need you to come up here to the corporate office to do my hair, to do my nails. You can do that because you carry a professional license for the state of Tennessee. Okay. So it says a mobile home. Could a mobile home be a shop? It can. We call it a mobile shop. And I want to have a conversation because I don't think many people have taken advantage of this new law that passed like a year, 2 years ago. Y'all, it's a new law. If your friend has a shop, skincare shop, nail shop, lash shop, whatever, they have a physical brick and mortar. All right. You come along and say, hey, let me see, you come along and you say, hey, I want a mobile shop. I want to be able to ride around and then just park like food trucks and pull up the gate and do nails and do lashes, do brows. I want to be able to do that. Well, the state of Tennessee allows you to do that. And so this is how it can happen the easy way. You, the one who owns the mobile shop and the one who owns the brick and mortar will have to get together and say, hey, let's get together and you can use this address as a stationary address for your mobile shop. So which means anything coming in that concerns the mobile shop is going to go to the address, the brick and mortar. The brick and mortar is going to be connected to the mobile shop. So if the mobile shop get fined, the brick and mortar get fined. If the brick and mortar get fined, the mobile shop get fined. You guys are going to share fines. So you got to make sure everybody's on the up and up. Okay. When it's time for you to have inspection, you guys are going to pick a location, or you'll go back to the brick and mortar and pull up on the lot, and state board is going to pull up on the lot and they'll inspect you. Okay. The mobile shop is probably the least type of shop that we have in Tennessee. It was very, very popular then. It's just all of a sudden a lot of people didn't follow through on it. That is something, if that's something y'all thought about doing, that'll be amazing. It's just like restaurants that also have food trucks. It operates just like that. Okay. And so you say, I don't want to be still, but I still want to have my own thing. Hey, just hook up with somebody who already got something going in Tennessee. And it's called an extension. It'll be an extension of their business, but it's your name, everything, but that extension is going to connect y'all together. So I don't know if anybody has ever thought about that. Because we're in a mall, we really don't need a separate, like we could have got away with a separate bathroom. Well, we have a bathroom in here and we have our own entrance. We're right here by the door. And so, but because we're in the mall, we could have got away with not having a restroom. We could have got away with that. But all my students would have to go out and go down the hallway to use the restroom. So I'm glad we have a restroom in our area. Have that been an idea? Anybody wanted a mobile shop before? Once you get that license, you can go to work. Okay. Okay. All right. Your attire. All right. So the state law also sets in the rules of what we should be wearing once we're as a student and also as a professional. Your only uniform requirement as a professional is a name tag with your license number on it. Name tag with your license number on it. All right. As a student, it is going to be uniform, whatever the school prescribes as uniform. Okay. Whatever the school sets aside as uniform, that's what you're expected to wear. All right. Let me say this. I am not finicky and picky about shoes, but do not wear open-toe shoes. I have to get on my day students about open-toe shoes because we deal with hot water. We deal with machines and things of that nature. So I don't want to be liable for things falling on your feet, burning you, so on and so on. So make sure closed-toe shoes. You wear your heel out if you want to, whatever you want to do. Closed-toe shoes. Also, when it comes to leggings, I am not a fan. Okay. So please, no leggings, no leggings, no leggings. There are levels to leggings. All right. You need to have great coverage, but I am good pretty much with everything else until uniforms come in, but no leggings and no open toe shoes. That is the school rule. Okay. State board just says, hey, whatever the schools say. So that's what we say. Okay. When it comes to laundry work, you have to do the laundry daily. They even regulate laundry, guys. Okay. They even regulate laundry. You have to make sure that your facility has hot and cold water. Hot and cold water. Here's big about the animals. It's big about animals. And I want to show you something. It says animals permitted or prohibited in shops, including fish or decorated purposes, and birds in cages shall be controlled by TCA Title 62, Chapter 4. Okay. In some instances, of course, many individuals, if you have to have a pet for stability, that's going to be fine. You will find facilities that will say no dogs. And I am one of those things, no dogs in the school at all. We're talking about cleanliness, sanitation. So no dogs in the school at all. Some people can't go without the dog. If it's a service dog, that means it's well trained. I don't have a problem with service animals. Okay. You will have to create your own policies as well. All right. High frequency electric current. This is for the estheticians. And you guys see this sometimes too. No high frequency electric current shall be used in the correlation of human tissue, which means high frequency should not be touching my skin. If I use high frequency, which is an electrical current, I need to have gauze, something in between the current and the skin. I'm not supposed to touch human tissue. So That's just one of the key protective items that we have to acknowledge. This is mainly for my estheticians and cosmetologists. High frequency is going to increase the blood circulation. Okay, it's going to get nourishment food to places that are isolated underneath the skin, in the follicle, in the hair area. So it has direction. Okay, but you cannot use it on the skin without a covering. Why? Because that electric current can go in, it can send a shock through your body. It feels like electricity going through your body. So you need to have that barrier there. We are not able to remove any warts, moles, okay? We're not able to do that. I see people in the barbershop removing warts and stuff like that. Leave it alone. We're not electrolysis. We're not laser technicians. You can't go in, you can't be a nail tech and a laser technician at the same time unless you have a license for each. Okay. When he talks about communicable disease, this is what we're talking about tonight, and sanitation and disinfection. So I'm glad that we are talking about these two here. I'm gonna put this in, and you guys you'll also be able to read it as well. Let's see, that's green. I'm gonna make this green as well. It says no patron. A patron is a customer or a client. No patron with definite open sores. No patron with definite open sores exhibiting symptoms of infection. Please take a note. Signs of infection. Crocs are okay, Danica. Yes, ma'am. Crocs are okay. Don't have a problem with those. As long as they're clean. Crocs are okay. Okay. Signs of infection. Because you guys are going to be really big on consultation and analysis. Analysis is what we see with our eye. Consultation is what we speak, and we build a communication with the client. So we're going to use our eyes most of the time to tell us if we could do it or not. Okay. So signs of infection is going to be redness, pus, swelling, local fever, let's see, is there another sign? Redness is inflammation, pus, swelling, local fever, okay. And then we have throbbing, all right? Those are gonna be signs of infection. You can see those on people's hands, on their face. You can see that in their scalps, all right? So as a nail technician or a lash specialist, you're gonna be talking to your clients. You let them talk, but your eyes should be doing the wondering. Any open sore, what's that? How long you had it? Where it come from? That's what we're talking about, okay? So no patron, no client with definite open sores exhibiting symptoms of infection. I just gave you the signs of infections or contagious disease. A contagious disease, contagious is also called communicable. Getting our lesson tonight. Contagious is also called communicable. Okay. A contagious disease, a communicable, could be a common cold, y'all. Could be a common cold, okay? So no patient with definite open sores exhibiting symptoms of infectious or common cold, flu, or disorders of the skin, parasitic infestations. Parasitic infestations, I'm going to tell you what that is. That is going to be scabies, headlights, ringworm. We're not servicing them. Okay? Will be served in a shop or school unless written permission from a physician has been secured, which means they have to go to the doctor. The doctor has to okay them to come back, and you got to have some documentation, because when someone calls in on you, and they will, the state is going to ask for that documentation. All right? So you got to make sure you're good. So that's communicable diseases. No cosmetologist, manicurist, esthetician, shampoo manicurist, instructor, or natural hairstylist who knowingly has an infectious or contagious disease. Now it's back on you, or parasitic infestation in a communicable stage, which means passing from one person to the next, shall give service in a school or shop. This is why during the pandemic, they shut all the shops down, because they did not know what COVID was. I did not know what coronavirus was, or they say they did. So they shut it down because it was feared that it was going from one person to another across the country, across the world. All right. So we just need to make sure, even you, if you have that stuff going on, you can't service anybody. Okay. It says, this is what happened. The board shall have the right to require a physical exam. They want you to go to the doctor and bring them the paperwork of any person employed in a shop or school who is suspected of having a contagious or infectious disease, a parasitic infestation in a communicable stage, which means it could go from person to person. How do you may say, how did the board know? Y'all, if they get one phone call that it says suspect, one phone call, they have to investigate. This is also why I tell new students coming in, it is not a flex to tell me where you work, especially if you ain't got no license. I have a duty under Tennessee State Board of Cosmetology. Y'all, I don't need to know where you work. I don't need to know what you're doing. I need to know that you're studying to be the best student you could be, and you're studying for your exam, and you're getting ready to become an apprentice, so you're able to work in a salon under, agreement and still get your hours. So that's all I'm really concerned about. Okay. But you also don't want to be inspected. They're going to make it public record, y'all. You'll be on YouTube. I mean, tell them to wait till you get well, and then you'll come back. You don't want anybody to call in and just do that, and it knocks you off track. Sanitation. What do you guys think about that? Any comments? That literally they could shut you down for having a common cold and spreading it to everybody in the shop. What do you guys think about that? Remember, and I think I have to make this statement for nights, and I want to make it anyway so everybody's on the same page moving forward. I don't really care about your cameras. I don't care about a stickler. It's not much that can cause me to, have a problem with Zoom. But what I do require is interaction. I do require response. And I'm never going to throw up, I got mine. Never. But y'all, I'm trying to make sure you got yours. So this Zoom class has to be interactive. I'm not half the time asking you to unmute your phone. I'm saying put it in the chat. And if I find out that you're not committed on the other side as I think you may, and if there's no response, policy, guys, is to take you off the Zoom. And if you get knocked off the Zoom for no response, because no response says you're not on the other side. And no response also says you're getting hours that you didn't earn. And so in that, when a teacher removes you from the Zoom, you can't come back to the Zoom that night. You can't jump back in. Okay. So all I ask is just to be a little bit more active. Okay. Just to be a little bit more active. I need to make sure everybody's in the room. Be a little bit more active. We ain't at church. I ain't asking you to say, I ain't asking for an amen corner, but I am asking you to interact with me because this is your lesson. And part of how many people learn is having a repeated in conversation, building a conversation about what I'm teaching. And so that's all I want to make sure that you guys, your part of the deal is just to interact. It's easy breezy, y'all. I'm teaching. You just got to observe and interact. That's all you got to do. Okay. We're going to prepare to close in a little while. And then homework is going to be you guys going over your Tennessee State Board of Cosmetology rules. All right. Just going to go over some rules. The sanitation and disinfection. This is rule number 0440-02-13. No licensee, that's you, or student, that's you, shall commence work on any patron before washing hands with soap and water. Y'all, if it ever comes about, so what's the first thing you're supposed to do? Wash your hands with soap and water. And you're just like, man, why is there has to be something that have to tell us that? Y'all, it's so many people that do not wash their hands. Don't you know that the knobs in the bathroom, the doorknobs, the toilet handles are the most consumed daily? Like germs on top of germs on top of germs on top of germs. Then you got people that do not wash their hands. And I know everybody has probably seen an instance of being in a restroom where someone uses a restroom, then they just walk out. I'm just like, oh, what happened? We're in a restaurant. What happened to the soap and water? Okay. So we got to make sure we're washing hands with soap and water. Hand sanitizer can only do so much. And then we got to make sure we have soap and water. Okay. So no licensee or student shall commence work on any patron without washing their hands. So before you service anybody, you need to make sure you wash your hands. And if you're a cosmetologist, esthetician, nail individuals do not have to drape, estheticians do, lash specialists do. It says placing around the patron's neck a clean cape. All right. And so sanitation, disinfectant, no licensee shall or student shall work on anyone unless you have washed your hands, and you need to make sure they have a clean towel, a clean covering on. Okay, that's going to be key. It says all tools and implements except those which come in contact with blood or body fluids must be cleaned with soap and water. Before you just say we've used all of our nail supplies, when we're done, we're going to wash those nail supplies with soap and water first. Scrub them really good with soap and water. I'm going to rinse that off. Then I'm going to let sit in my disinfectant solution. Once I let it sit in that solution, then I'm going to take it out. I'm going to rinse it. And then I'm going to dry it. And I'm going to put them up to be used on the next client. Okay. And so we have to make sure that we're doing our part. We remember how to disinfect. So anytime we go to any establishment, if everybody goes by the rules here, you could work anywhere because the rules are going to be the same. It's when they take this rule and start twisting it that it becomes a problem. Okay. So I want you to make sure that you are following your sanitation as needed, your infection control practices as needed as well. You want to be clean, and you do not want to be known as the source of bacteria growth that opens you up for lawsuits, so much stuff. Okay. Your wet disinfectant standard. I'm going to show you that next week. I'm going to show you the wet disinfectant. Okay. And I have directions for you to build your disinfectant as well. Y'all, these disinfectants are really strong. I gave an example this morning about household bleach. There's multiple different types of household bleach. You have household bleach, you have industrial bleach, which warehouses, things of that nature, and you have, of course, commercial landscaping, things like that. There are bleaches for a lot of different things, and you usually find them at Lowe's, Office, Home Depot, things of that nature. Okay. Household bleach is our most common one that we're used to, but I've had an inspector that says they don't want to smell bleach. And the reason why you should use something that doesn't have a high fragrance but also cleans is simply because you have many individuals that have allergies, sinuses, things of that nature. Same thing with perfumes. They can't even go in the room until it's cleared out of all of that, the fumes. So we have to be very careful about using bleach in our cleaning agents. And if we do use bleach, I would cut it with a lot of water. Okay. I would cut it with a lot of water. Let me go down here to foot bath. I want y'all to see this. It says foot baths. Shall be cleaned with soap and water and disinfected with an EPA registered disinfectant. Okay. Which means you clean it with soap and water, and then you go get whatever you use out the tub. Whatever you clean the tub with will be the same disinfectant you probably use for the tub, for the foot tub. Okay. You want to make sure you're using your disinfectant according to manufacturer's directions. So we're gonna jump back on that. Sometimes we like to do this and sometimes we like to do that, but when you're talking about cleanliness, you have to make sure you're using universal solvent, which is water. It can be distilled or spring, however you want to do it. Once that breaks up and you have an even line, you got to make sure you label it so everybody knows what that is. Okay. Same thing for towels. I'm going to talk a little bit about towels. A separate clean towel shall be provided for each client. Headrest shall be covered with a towel, so they should always have a towel under their head if they're laying down. So lash specialist, you're going to have your client lay on a towel, and then you're going to have a towel to drape their necks. All right. One, a towel for their head to lay on, and then a towel for draping them. Okay. The practice of dipping a towel previously used for any purpose into a container of hot water and using a towel on a patron is prohibited. This is an old law, okay? And barbers were still doing this, okay? They would take a towel and they would shake it out, dip it in that hot water, and reuse it again. Now, every one towel per client, all right? You cannot dip and reuse anything. Okay, this is the Tennessee state law, the rule component. I left this in the chat, but also I am going to leave this in the files. All right, come with me, come with me, come with me, come with me. I'm working on multiple conferences. This is your DCI Academy virtual training. If you have not requested to be in this group, please go ahead and request to be in this group. This is our school private Facebook page. We call it our community page. All right, DCI Academy virtual training. This is where you're going to see all updates, things of that nature. Here, April the 30th, actually, it says areas of study for state law. I put in the group April 30th. These are the areas you need to study for the state law exam. You're going to have 10 questions. Meeting licensure requirements, license duties, renewal, board responsibilities, and disciplinary actions. Displaying the license. We talked about that tonight. Salon owner and manager, really responsibilities. We talked a little bit about that tonight. Change of address, contact information, ownership, and then displaying sign pertaining to client's rights. We talked about that tonight. What does that mean, pertaining to client's rights? I said you have to have a sign up that says clients have the right to refuse to drill. In the schools, we got a sign up that says services provided by students only under instructor supervision. All right. So whatever signage you need for whatever business, you got to make sure you have that up there, because in actuality, you're going to see it again. Yeah. Yeah. Y'all, yeah. And punish, it's so much stuff out there worse than a cold. And it almost goes to all money ain't good money, you know. And if you're a really, really good person to your clients, they'll wait till you're done. They'll wait till you're done. And I never feel like you're missing anything, you know, because there will be some that don't want to wait, but that tells you where their priorities are. You know, they just want to get the service done. They don't really care about you. And if that's the case, fine. But I feel like if you're a really, really great person and you push that out in work, you'll have them, they may leave for a moment, but they'll be back. So what I want to do is go to files. When you go over to DCI Academy virtual training, you can go to files. And look, all these PowerPoints and study guides for whatever chapter you want, whatever discipline you want, from natural hair to instructor, all of that, just like our YouTube video, is filled with stuff. No one should say they never were prepared or they didn't have access to anything. You have access to everything. That state law, y'all, I'm going to put it under files in the group. So if you're in the group, state rules, that's where you're going to find it at. You go to the Facebook page over the weekend and go back and look into the rules. It'll be like a post, and or you can go over here into files and you'll be able to find it as well. Let's see if it's in here. It's state. I got you, Miss Veronica. I'm finna let you in right now. Look, y'all, Tennessee State Board Sanitation and Licensing is already in there. Okay. PSI for nails, PSI for instructors. Anytime you see something that says PSI, hold on one moment. Okay, so already in files, these PSI booklets, and I'm gonna just click the one for nails. And bam, you got the booklet for your nail exam for state board. Your instructor, of course, we go over all of this with you. But every detail you need to know pertaining to that state board exam is in this booklet, okay? All the way to what's gonna be on your test. It tells you exactly what areas the test is coming from. So we get to study that, all right? It tells you what books it's coming from. It tells you the state law it's coming from. And then it's going to tell you the practical areas for your exam. You're going to get points for workstation, basic manicure, or workstation setup, basic manicure, you got to show a tip application, got to show a sculpture nail, and got to show an end of the day cleanup. And guess what, guys? It walks you through each area. Click the box. Now, if you download this to your computer, you're going to have these. If you print it, these are not going to pop up. But this is the best kind. Take your iPad or something, download this booklet. And so when you hit the blue box, it gives you tips of what you should be doing. And then here's the check marks too. This really helps students prepare for their state board exam. It's another reason why we have a high state board pass rate, is because we include all of our students on emphasis and updates when it comes to the exam. So all of that stuff is found in files. I mean, years of stuff, okay? So y'all take y'all time, explore, go through it. Everything you need, like I said before, is in the house. Approved for Miss Veronica, approved for Miss Deanna. There we go. All updates, everything. If somebody's gonna be late, we're going on a field trip here, going on a field trip there. Any updates about field trips, videos, job opportunities, it's gonna come through that page. That's the Academy virtual training. We're getting ready to take some students that graduate out of this page and put them into the alumni page, the alumni group. And so we still want you connected with us, but now we got to make sure you find a job since you're licensed. And that's what our goal is for the second group, the alumni group, is making sure everybody's working in their field. I'm going to close tonight. Only thing I need you to do is continue reading Chapter 5 ebook. And I want you to study that state law rules component that I dropped in the chat on the files on Facebook. If you still need it and can't get to it, call me and I'll make sure you get it, okay? That's going to be our theory for tonight, guys. We're in the building tomorrow, aesthetics only from 10 to 2. I'm going to always open it up as a extra day for you guys because y'all are nice students. So if anybody ever has a Friday morning off, check in with me. Make sure we got some room. You guys are more than welcome to come by Friday morning, 10 to 2 to get some extra hours, okay? And just study time if you need quiet. So I don't know about quiet because they be kind of rough, but if you need quiet time, if you want to just have a study period, if you just want to join in and see what everybody else is doing, Fridays 10 to 2 is your day, okay? So if you need anything, just give me a call. Y'all have a blessed and amazing weekend. I want to see y'all the way that you left here now. Y'all be safe. Call me if you need me. Especially if I don't answer a text, please call me. And I'm up late working, okay? So I don't mind you guys giving me a call. I will be in Nashville on Monday, but school is still in session. We will still have day class. We will still have night class. I'm coming back Tuesday, but class is still in session. So it's no reason for no one to not be in class. We got to get it. We got goals to make and we got things to do before the year is out. So I will see y'all